Hey there, I'm Dan, and this is my ambulance, and I'm welcoming you to the inaugural episode of the Danbulance. Now, Danbulance was a word of my wife's creation, and ever since she came up with it, it's kind of stuck, so I don't want to correct her. We're just going to leave it with Danbulance, okay? So let's just accept that from the beginning. The wife is always right. She was right about this, because about a year ago, I was bugging her. I was retired and hung around the house a lot and hung around her a lot. And finally, she thought maybe it would be great if he had a project, and maybe it would be great if he traveled. So she kind of killed two birds with one stone, in that when we were on Marketplace one day, we found this ambulance for sale. It was about 4.5 hours away, and so we decided price isn't bad. Let's go take a look at it. It's a 2000 Freightliner. When I bought it, had 59,000 miles on it. Original miles, original engine, only 1,900 hours on the engine. So we thought, this is looking pretty good. We went and inspected it, and we ended up driving it 4.5 hours home. And it had a couple of things that need to be tweaked on it, but it's been an absolute blast to have this thing, to work on it, and to make it into my camper. That was my goal, was to be able to go somewhere and kind of be off grid and not have to tow a trailer, just have something that I could park. And when I parked, I was pretty much where I wanted to be, and I could just stay there. If you don't know how they build ambulances, they actually build them pretty well. It's a lot stronger than pretty much all of the Class C motorhomes you would see out there, because they have to be rated to survive a rollover. And one of the reasons I know about ambulances is because I worked on them for almost 5 decades. I started dispatching in EMS when I was 16 years old. Became an EMT when I was 18, and by the time I was 21, I became a paramedic, and I still hold my paramedic certification. I've also been a city police officer, a state investigator, and a county deputy, as well as a firearms instructor, a sniper, a less lethal instructor, which includes gas and flashbangs and impact munitions. And I was also a firefighter. So I devoted my life to public safety, and it only made sense that I get something like this behemoth you see behind me that would be my home away from home. So what I'd like to do on this adventure that we're going to take together is show you how I put this thing together to turn it into a motorhome, a camper, a place that I don't mind spending a couple of weeks at a time, and I have. Show you how I put in the water system, the solar system, the bed, how I cook, all these crazy things that you need to do when you're out camping, and how I did it in an ambulance. And hopefully there's some folks out there that are either thinking about this, and this will help you to move forward with it, or there's people out there that have done it and they just want to follow somebody else that's doing the same thing they're doing, because it's definitely a niche market. You got to know that you love this kind of stuff, and you have to know that you want to do it to get into one of these things. And a lot of people say, well, doesn't it bother you? So many people died in these things. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I worked in them for decades, and not a lot of people die in these things. First off, if you've ever been in EMS, you realize that people don't die in the ambulance, they die in the emergency department. That's just the way it is. Or as time progressed and we became more modern, people die on the scene and they never get put in those things. So you can take those thoughts from your head and I can dispel those myths for you. What happened in here is a lot of pain relief, a lot of comforting of people, a lot of taking people to where they needed to get that couldn't make it on their own. So I'm happy to be in one of these things. I spent God knows how many hours and tens of thousands of hours of my life in one of these things. And it just made sense for me to use this platform to become my, as I said, home away from home. So now you get that I'm Dan, you get that that's my ambulance, and I welcome you to the Danbulance channel. And you can always visit us on danbulance.com, believe it or not. I know, hard to believe, isn't it? Well, this is pretty much my home away from home. And as you can see, it's pretty much a standard ambulance, but I couldn't see the sense in ripping out cabinets that are very, very well made, and they're made with the structural integrity that comes with the mandates of an ambulance and the safety involved in that. So, I mean, if you think about it, you have a stretcher that's mounted on the floor there. The cot mounts actually go through the floor. They're mounted all the way through the floor onto the bottom of the vehicle, so that in the event of a rollover, that stretcher stays secured to the ambulance, and then the patient is supposed to be secured to the stretcher. Well, obviously you can't have things in cabinets. You can't have cabinets coming off of walls. You can't have things coming out of cabinets. So they make these things to survive that kind of trauma. So I thought, you know what, if these cabinets work, which they do, they're phenomenal cabinets. They have adjustable shelves in them. They have wonderful slide doors. And I think the best part of them is that if you're doing just a bunch of things that you want to load up at one time, the whole thing just opens up and you have free access to everything. I certainly, if I was building my own shelves, wouldn't have put something together like that. The one thing I did do was take the seats off. They were Velcroed, the cushions basically that were on the bench, and I extended that a few inches so that I could put it's called a cot size, so it's not quite a twin, but it's a standard cot size mattress that actually has two sections. It's got a little section with a bolster pillow that I can use kind of like an armrest and fold this up so that the little safety bar at the end of the bench seat comes up too, which I'll show you in a little bit. So essentially I have cabinets, I have cabinets, I have cabinets, I have cabinets, I have a shelf, I have another shelf that folds up, I have another shelf, I've got a drawer, I've got storage underneath the seat here, I've got storage underneath this seat, I've got another cabinet underneath here, I've got a cabinet that opens up to the outside, and I've got my folding table. What else do you need? Got a little chair that sits in front of that folds up. I mean, it's pretty comfortable in here. If you think about it, it's bigger than a van, and I think it's a lot bigger than a van, and it's very comfortable for me. Your gate is now closed. So we'll move on to other things on here that give you a different view. How about that? Well, what do you have for living space back here? Well, it's a little messy right now, but what I did, instead of ripping up the floors, was I decided to find a entry mat that would fit, and keeping with the kind of gray and burgundy, I guess, or as they call it at Ohio State, the crimson and gray. This is the original flooring in the ambulance, and what I like about it is that this flooring actually comes up to the sides, and it covers the entire floor from one end to the other, and they're designed like that so that if you have to, you can actually hose these things out. So this carpet actually fit very, very well. And one thing I did was I had to take off the bumper to be able to mount my hitch, which is down here. And so I have that step, And I have this step, and it makes it pretty easy to get in here, actually. It's actually a little more ergonomically correct than the old bumper was. And what you can see here is I have a little table that just folds up, and that becomes a nice little work area, eating area, my dining area, my video editing area, whatever I need it to be. Oh, from the inside, you could see my little work area, and the stool that I have is actually a pretty slick little thing. It's just the right height for that, and then when I'm done, it just folds up and it goes underneath the bed here, and it's a beautiful thing. Works really well. Also have a nice little thing to make sure you don't smack your head on the back door. And those were made for gloves, and so you know what I did? I put gloves in them because, hey, you just never know. Having some latex gloves works out really well, or nitrile, whatever they are today. I do have my smoke detector. It's carbon monoxide alarm. I had to put a piece of tape over it because the light was so bright it was illuminating the entire inside of the ambulance at night. And then this is a vent fan. Every ambulance comes with one of these, and it just sucks air out. So because it's a little cooler outside, that's been closed. And then we have cabinets in here where these things are just marvelous. They're really amazing. They open up. The whole thing opens up. If you didn't see that, but the cabinet's just, the whole frame opens up so you can have access to this. So I have my, this is a combination microwave, air fryer, convection oven. It's kind of like everything in one. And I just like to, again, yeah, it's in there. It's not going anywhere, but I also like to have padding just in case, because this thing bounces around a little bit. Again, just adjustable shelves in these things, so that's why I've got my towels and my plates and things like that. A little food storage in here. These ammo boxes are great for storing things. They have rubber seals on them, so it kind of keeps things fresh. Got my toaster. More stuff down here where I've got plastic utensils, so if I can use plastic, I'm going to use plastic and not do dishes. Paper towels, extra paper towels, dishwashing stuff, curtains for the back doors, and obviously rice. And then, yep, I make a little espresso in the morning instead of running the coffee pot for a long time. So I have this Camco Wave 6 out here. Was testing it this morning, and because I've insulated the doors, and trust me, these things work really, really well. They don't throw out a lot of moisture, and they use, I think they say, 1/4 pound of propane an hour, and it heats this thing up really, really quickly. Here's another shelf that I have. All my remotes are mounted up in here, and just one of those cheap little Walmart storage boxes for batteries and cords, things like that. I got one of those magnetic tool holders at Harbor Freight, and that's where I'll stick anything that I can put up there to keep it out of the way. And that hasn't moved in all the roads I've been on, all the dirt roads. Drawer down here, which has become kind of like a junk drawer, but that's where I'll keep the battery chargers and extra batteries, like for that tire inflator. And then of course I have a drill and an impact that I keep in the ambulance. And this is known as a CPR seat, and we will get into that in a little bit here. So this area actually had a cabinet mounted up inside of it there. And I took that cabinet out because I was trying to figure out where I was going to put a shower. I had the shower on the inside of the vehicle. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to make this a shower. And it took me a little bit to come up with how I was going to do it, but for the limited times that it's either too cold outside to shower, which I try to avoid, or just bad weather, this works out pretty well. And I'll kind of show you how these work. I found these things, again, Amazon, where you find everything. And what these do is they fold out, and I have a shower curtain that hangs off this thing, gives me plenty of room. Obviously, this sticks out further than the wall, so the shower curtains come at an angle down inside. This shelf actually folds up and locks, and then under here I have a little tub, and that tub becomes my water collection device when I take a shower. So when I'm done taking a shower, I just dump it out. But because it's a storage container, we're going to use it for storage. So let's take that out and see what's inside. So you can see there is a ton of storage underneath that seat area. And so this fits in there perfectly. And what do I have? Well, we'll look at that in a minute. I have a little portable toilet. And I will demonstrate that to you in the future. But it folds up and it packs away nice and neat. So if you're going to have a portable toilet, and basically it's, I guess, a poop in a bag toilet. So I have to have extra bags, and you got to have toilet paper, and you got to have, of course, dude wipes, because you want everything to be clean when you're out camping. And then this thing is just a collapsible, well, I call it my sink, because if I'm going to do dishes or I need to have water on the inside, I just pop that up, and I use that to hold water and let me do dishes. So collapsible's good. Less room is better. And then these are my shower curtains. So I've got two, and the reason they're two different colors is because one that faces forward, where I'm going to be actually looking out. I want to be able to see if anybody's trying to come in a camper. It just comes with, years of being around people that you don't trust. You just want to be able to see. So one shower curtain is a little thicker, and that goes up against the back wall there. And then the other one comes out and allows light to come in so you can see what you're doing while you're showering. And that's worked out pretty well. I've obviously never filled this thing up. You're only using a couple of gallons of water when you take a shower, because you rinse, you get yourself wet, you wash, put a little soap on there, and then you rinse off. And so there's really not a lot of water in here, and I use that biodegradable soap, so I'm not worried about dumping it. It's not going to hurt anything, and that's my kind of it's not so much emergency shower, but it's the shower I use when it's just too cold to shower outside. So there's my toilet all set up inside the little area where the tub was, and this thing is just perfect. And I know a lot of people buy the cassette toilets, or they do composting toilets. And to me, all a composting toilet is carrying around your poo with you all the time. And I didn't want to do that. So I just decided that poo in a bag is better. And when I'm done, I get rid of it. And then this thing is just amazing, because when you're done, it completely collapses. You can see it folds up down in the bottom there, and the whole thing just collapses flat. It's a really great toilet, and it supports a lot of weight. So I would recommend that. So in order to take this toilet apart, you just push in the floor, and you can see it just collapses. And then the trick is remembering how to get it back together. There you go. And it folds like that. And top goes over it. And there you go. It's all in one nice little compact unit. So how do we get a shower into this area? Well, this is kind of what I showed you from that outside cabinet, looking down, and there is my shower head, and that comes out, and if I want it to, I just push it in here. Oh, let me see if I can use the other hand. Probably should have used my head mount thing for this to show you, but these are like broom holders that I got off of Amazon. They're pretty easy to use, and essentially you just push that on there and it holds the shower head, and that way you can just obviously get on and off on the water, and it does a couple of different patterns, which I'm not that big on. I just want water. I just want to get wet and I want to be able to rinse off. And then down here is where we have our controls. Water comes in here, and we have our hot and our cold water adjustments. And it works really, really well. Again, more storage. Another cabinet. The frame opens up again, and you just see you got a ton of storage in here. Mostly clothes in here. Some extra trash bags. I've got some lights back in there because it's just, there's so much space. I can just spread things around if I want to. And then I've even got more storage over here. So that's where extra clothes go, sometimes dirty clothes, soap, and then I usually keep a box with my toiletries in here, razor and shaving cream and all that kind of stuff. So just another storage. And that's the window looking out the front of the truck. So that's the little pass-through that you get in one of these. Works out really well. And over here is that cabinet we were looking at that opens up to the outside. And so this has a couple of different things. I keep my my drill and my impact in here, the coffee or espresso machine. I've got a $13 dollar store lamp. So when I'm someplace and I have electricity, I just run this, or I can run it off. It doesn't use, but I think it's got like a 20-watt bulb in it. But I run that off the inverter. It doesn't draw hardly any power. I've got a Hercules battery-powered fan, and these things are absolutely awesome. Use that in the fifth wheel too. These things are just really, really, they're really a good fan, and they hardly use that battery at all. I've run those things for 3 days on the same battery. Just some extra supplies in another one of those giant boxes. Some Kleenex, a little air fryer that I keep in here, electric heater just in case, and then I have some other stuff in storage over here, my tripod, and another drawer that you can keep stuff in. And again, this guy is awesome. If you want to know about solar, I bought this after watching probably 50 of his videos. The kid is absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend the book, and I recommend watching stuff on his YouTube channel, which again is DIY Solar with Will Prowse. He is, if I figure out how to attach a link, I will do that for sure. And then down here, let's close these cabinets so nothing comes out. this is how we access the refrigerator, like an old roll-top desk. You could see there's everything right there. So you can get to it from the inside or the outside. It's a pretty slick little setup. Well, here we are on the curbside with more storage. Again, this is the side where I have the little flip-up table and the cabinet that opens up to the outside. And this is where generally I keep all my drinking water. I don't like to drink stuff out of the tank. Like most people who live in RVs know, that water in the tank generally isn't that safe to drink. I don't feel like putting a reverse osmosis system in here, so I'll just use bottled water. And this is my bed, which, as I said earlier, is kind of it's called a cot size. It's almost a twin size. And it's made up now for travel, because generally I have this nice TV, smart TV that I set up, and that's how I keep it from getting ruined, is just a couple of D-rings and a little strap, and that holds that in there every place that I've been with no issues. Otherwise, I have it made up pretty nice here when the TV's set up. And then the way this mattress works is there's actually a second section to it, which is this little bolster pillow. So at the end of the bed, in an ambulance, you don't want people sliding off the end of the seat if somebody slams on the brakes. So there's this little arm rest or little grab rail for when you're coming in, and it's to prevent somebody from sliding off the seat if they were to put on the brakes. So I can move that bolster pillow, and I can move the mattress further down that way, and then this arm will come up, and it's just a regular size. So you can see that there's a lot of room inside these units. These medium duty units are just really pretty big on the inside, and you got a lot of room for just hanging out. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for your time and patience. And I apologize for the video being so long. I didn't anticipate that, but I wanted to make sure I got through at least everything on the inside. I think the next video, we're probably going to show some of the systems that are on the outside, the electrical, the water, storage, things like that. And I hope to see you there. And I promise you that video will not be as long as this one. Thank you very much.